Good morning, Heather. Hey, Heather.
Good morning.
How are you doing, lady?
Oh, wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, good. The sound was just a little light coming back from the music, when
Okay,
when we were getting started. That's all.
perfect. Yeah,
So we ready to roll?
I think so. The numbers are slowly climbing. I think we have one more minute until 9. So whenever you're ready.
Well, at 9, all we need to do is
Mhm.
pop it over to me and then I need to be able to share my screen. It says I can't right now. So I need to be able, and you're recording it. I know that. That's good.
All right, and you
And
should be
Todd's
able to hear.
here. The boss is here. Hi, Todd.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Dave. How are you? It's good to see you.
I'm doing well. Listen, my friend, thank you very much for inviting me to be with your team.
It's always a pleasure to have you. You're the best.
Yeah, well, I remember being up there for Light My Fire and enjoying that. And we need to get back up there personally.
We'll have you
You
back, Dave. We look forward to it.
Oh, now that you know, we have masks off and things like that, we can get back together again. I'd love that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good.
Good morning, Lisa.
So Heather, we ready to start?
I think so. Yep, you can go ahead and share your screen.
All right, good. Welcome, everybody. Excited to be here with this great three Keller Williams office conglomerate. I want to thank Todd and Olivia for bringing me here, and Heather for doing the work, for setting this up, and the team leaders for promoting this, and for you for being here. Because one of the things that Gary Keller and I really understood as we were building Keller Williams University was that the best achievers in the business are learning based. And that means they commit to their own self-development. And when they have an opportunity like this morning to listen to one of the, you know, all-time experts in the real estate industry, talk to them about the business, then they want to be here. They want to take advantage of that. And for those of you here, I promise this day could change the trajectory of your career. I promise you that. It's powerful. So let's dive in and get started. I'll get my screen shared, and Heather will let me know if that's coming through clearly. Is it, Heather?
We are good.
All right, good. So today we want to talk about why list with me. And, you know, I've been over 30 years in the real estate business. I've trained thousands of agents. I've worked personally with hundreds of top producers. And I'm really bringing to you today their wisdom, not just mine, but what I've learned from them over the years of taking your career to the highest level, and particularly about becoming a listing-oriented agent. I really began my career by taking the Dale Carnegie sales course, which gave me a foundation and a real understanding of what it takes to be a great sales service provider. I mean, we are service providers and we are consultants, but we also are salespeople because we make things happen, and it's important to understand that. So I learned what it took to be a great salesperson. I became a trainer of that. I was a director of training for Century 21 out of Rochester, New York for 3 states. And then I became regional director for them, and then was moved to Texas to become a divisional president of Century 21 South Central States. And I watched this little company growing in Austin. I got there just as Keller Williams was reinventing itself. And I saw them become #1 in Austin. And as I watched it, I said, you know, if I were inventing a real estate company, it would not be like the one I'm with, Century 21. At the time, #1 in the industry, a big corporate brand name driven company. No, it would be like this company that Gary Keller is building in Austin, very agent focused, very training focused, very locally oriented, with great, you know, local leaders. And I said that would be the kind of company that I would invent. Well, then 4 years later, I got a call from Mo Anderson, and she said, Dave, Gary and I would like to have you on our team because we believe you know more about real estate franchising than anyone else we know. And we love the way you train and work with agents in their business. You're committed to the agent. So anyway, I joined them and had a chance to be with the Keller Williams team with Gary and Mo and build the company and go from 2,000 agents to 72,000. And of course, now we're at 182,000. And so I say that because I want to give perspective on what it is I want to bring to you. And that is how to really think bigger for yourself. We started there with only 2,000 agents, and now we have 182,000. And why? Because we had a vision for the future. And I want to make that clear to you, that your future is not determined by where you've been or where you are, but your intentions for where you want to go. And today is part of building your intentions for the future. So let's dive in. Here's what I want to work with today with you. And I promise to deliver in the next hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll have a chance for questions and answers. So any questions you have, either chat them in or write them down and ask them at the end. But here's what I want to do. I want to make you a powerful listing agent, because listers last. Agents who list control the marketplace and control their destiny. As Mike Ferry, one of my early mentors, said to me, Dave, here's the key to real estate. List a home, tell the world you listed it. Sell the home, tell the world you sold it. Go list another home. And, it sounds simple, but a top agent that I talked with, who was #1 in her MLS for over 10 years in Northern Indiana, I asked her, I said, what's your greatest marketing tool? And she said, oh, far and away, just listed, just sold cards. She said, I list a home, I send out 200 or 300 just listed cards. I say, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Smith have retained me to handle the sale of their home. And if you know someone you would like to have as a neighbor or someone who wants to move to this area, let me know. So there it was, a call for buyers. And then when it sold, she said, I sent out 200 or 300 just sold cards. And I said, and listen to this carefully, you might want to write this down. The following home just sold. The sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or need to sell it, call me today. Great call to action. Great call to action. The sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or need to sell it, call me today. So that was her just listed card. And she built her whole career, #1 in her MLS on that just listed, just sold strategy. So listing is the name of the game. #2 is I want you to get articulate about your value proposition. Why list with you? Why should people work with you? Until we get articulate about our value proposition. Now, this is in of itself a set of skills. I'm going to talk to you about these. These are skills that built my career. In fact, when I came with Keller Williams, I became the road warrior. I became the articulate person about why join Keller Williams, why it was the company of the future, and why it was the best place to bring your career, by the way, which it still is. And I remember one of my staff members from Century 21, after I left, because her father worked with RE/MAX, went to work at the administrative offices of RE/MAX. And she wrote me in 2003, she said, Dave, I just came back from a big meeting of RE/MAX in Atlanta. And we spent the afternoon talking about how to compete with Keller Williams. And they put your picture up on the screen and they said, this is Dave Jenks. He is the wordsmith of Keller Williams. He's the one talking to our agents. We need to listen to what he has to say because we have to counteract what it is that he's telling them. So this is it. So I became a person who articulated the value proposition of Keller Williams. And I want you to be able to articulate the value proposition of you, why people should work with you. And then I want to help you master the art of influence, because when you become good at convincing people to do the right thing, then you become a person of influence in all other parts of your life. And I'll teach you the formula for being a person of influence in everything that you touch and do. And then the heart of what we're going to do today is building a great listing presentation. Again, Mike Ferry, at one of my early times in real estate, I went to a big meeting that he had in Phoenix, Arizona, over 2,000 people in the room. And Mike got up in front of the room and he said, okay, everyone, we succeed in real estate based on 3 skills: prospecting, presenting, and closing. Which of those 3 do you think is most important? How many of you think it's prospecting? Well, I mean, that's what he teaches. So every hand in the room went up, right? And he went, no. How many think it's closing, being able to, hang in there and answer people's questions and get them to sign the contract? And, maybe half the hands went up. And he went, no. He said, it's presenting, because until you have mastered your listing presentation, you won't prospect. You won't have the confidence. You won't know your value proposition. You won't know how to answer their questions. You just won't know what you're doing. Again, you won't have the confidence. So you won't do it. So you have to master your listing presentation. And of course, if you don't have a good listing presentation, you may not get the listing, even if you're there to do the presentation. So The core of being a great listing agent is mastering your value proposition and putting it in an effective listing presentation. And we're going to talk about that today. And part of that is using scripts and dialogues. And a lot of people misunderstand what scripts and dialogues are about. I want you to think this: scripts are the poetry of selling. Scripts are the poetry of influence. Scripts are the poetry of selling. Because, as Gary Keller says, other people have sold real estate before us, and they have learned how to say things in effective ways, in emotionally powerful ways. And they have passed those on to us in the form of scripts and dialogues where you go back and forth. And he said, to become a great salesperson, you need to master the great ways to say things, the poetry of selling. And both, by the way, all of us may misunderstand. We love scripts and dialogues. We, binge on Netflix, or we will go to movies. And what are we doing? We're just listening to actors and actresses repeat scripts they've memorized. Screenwriters who are great with words, they write the scripts. They build the dialogue and the conversation. Then the actors and actresses simply memorize those and internalize them and then deliver them. And we are touched by that emotionally. But all they're doing is repeating scripts. So that's, if we're going to be a powerful salesperson, we need to master the way to say things, the poetry of selling, scripts. Now, I want to also, the impact of your words is important. Building the effectiveness of your language as a promoter and a salesperson, as a marketer, is really important. And I want to introduce you to a great book called Words That Sell by Richard Bayan, B-A-Y-A-N. And he has another book called More Words That Sell. And I have both. And I've had the first one, which he wrote over 20 years ago. I've had it for all that time. And it's a wonderful look at how to say things more powerfully. He's a copywriter, and he takes the 30 or 40 major reasons people would do business with you. And he shows you 20 or 25 different ways to express that powerfully. Plus, he has a whole section on attention getters, ways in your marketing and advertising you can grab people's attention, and also a whole section on how to talk about yourself, self-presentation, Words That Sell. Get that resource, powerful to have. Get it in printed form, not Kindle, because I think you want to be able to thumb through it and underline it and read it. But what you want to do is get really familiar with the power of language in terms of influencing people. Now, the whole game of this is to gain self-confidence. We're probably in one of the most competitive entrepreneurial businesses that there are. So many people are in real estate. It's easy to get into real estate. It's not easy to succeed at it. And you have to gain self-confidence because that's what people feel. They feel your confidence, and they want to work with confident people. But a lot of people think they can talk themselves in to self-confidence through affirmations and that. Well, you can do a little of that. It's certainly better than negative self-talk or self-doubt. But the only way to confidence is through competence. Get that down clearly. Competence leads to confidence. When you are competent at something, when you know what you're doing, when you have your presentation locked in, when you really know what you're going to say, when you know how to answer questions, and when you know the business that you're in, your confidence goes up. And when your confidence goes up, it shows through. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. So today is about gaining your self-confidence as a listing-oriented salesperson. And then this gives you control of your career, because whoever controls the listings controls your career. That's what we said in MREA, right? The best-selling book in the history of real estate, 1.4 million copies sold, still number one on Amazon.com. And it says there it's leads, listings, and leverage. So first it's lead generation, then it's all about listings, and then of course leverage, where you get more done in less time, right? So all of this is what we're going to do today. Let's dive in. The first thing, we're going to deal with three things: competence, communication, and presentation. Three things: competence, communication, and presentation. So what gives us competence in the business is our attitude, skills, and knowledge. In Dale Carnegie, we used to call that the ASK triangle: attitude, skills, and knowledge. People who achieve at the highest level have the right attitudes, They've developed the inherently best skills that are required for that work, and they have the knowledge that underpins everything they do. It makes them a master of their business. So what do we get paid for in real estate? Well, in knowledge, we get paid for contracts, finance, and property evaluation. So we want to be able to come to a seller and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am a master of real estate contracts. By the time we get to the end of this transaction, there will be 75 or 85 pages of legal documents that I will review on your behalf and make sure they're filled out correctly, no mistakes, no one's trying to take advantage of you, and you can be confident in signing those documents and moving to closing, because I am a master of real estate contracts. Now, see what a powerful, assertive way to state your who you are. And that is what you're paid for. By the way, about 2 months ago, an agent who was through this presentation wrote me a note and said, that was so good for me. She said, I am a master of contracts. I am a master of financing and property evaluation. She said, but I never thought in my listing presentations that I should present that. I just thought that was kind of expected. So I would talk about testimonials and how much business I did and all that. And she said, I realized that no, what they want to know is what I do. So you've given me incredible confidence because I am really good with contracts. So I'm going to say to you, build your competence in contracts, know all the documents, all the listing agreements, all the purchase offer contracts, all the addendums, the disclosures, all the legal aspects of this business. And by the way, that's also a way you can talk to for sale by owners, because they're not ready for the legal side of processing a real estate transaction, and they can get taken advantage of. So anyway, put out there your wisdom about contracts and build that competence. Remember, we're talking here about competence. Become competent in contracts. Number two, best real estate agents say that new agents delegate too much of the financing to their mortgage officer. And yes, you do delegate to them the pre-approval and the qualifications and the application and the underwriting, certainly all of the details of granting mortgages, but you must have the knowledge of the programs, the knowledge of how to qualify, the mistakes to avoid. You need to know that to benefit your sellers, well, your buyers for sure, and then your sellers, because you have to evaluate offers when they come in. And then finally, property evaluation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am a master of property evaluation. I'm not a licensed appraiser, but I am better than they are at accurately predicting what a home will sell for. And more importantly, I know how to make a home worth more and get more money. And I will get you the highest possible price for your home because I'm a master of property evaluation. See, you want to be able to express it with that level of confidence that you know the market, you know values, you know how to do staging and repairs that make the home more valuable and more competitive, and you know how to get multiple offers. You are a master of property evaluation. So master those things that when you are a master of all that knowledge, you are then technically a professional in real estate, and you know your game. Now, the next part they're going to pay you for or want to make them list with you is your skills. And there are three: communication, presentation, and negotiation. And you're going to show them those as you meet with them. And so build those skills. They're not easy to build them. That's what we're doing today, right? And then finally, it's your attitude. People want to work with people with the right can-do, get it done, positive, optimistic attitude. So you have to work on your attitude. They don't just happen automatically. They're not personality. Don't confuse personality with attitude. Attitude is an inner state. Personality is the way we put ourselves out. A lot of people think they can succeed in real estate just by their enthusiasm and their personality. Nope, you can't. It goes deeper than that. Your attitude matters. And so there are three attitudes I find for high achieving, listing oriented agent. One is intention. They make good things happen. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you will find in working with me, I'm a person of intention. I set goals, I achieve them. When I decide to undertake something, I make it happen. When I take on your listing, I will get it sold at the highest possible price. Why? Because I am a person of intention. Now, for you to say that, really become a person of intention. Know what you want, have written goals, have action plans, have your 135, your 411, Do those things that make you an achiever, have accountability in place, so that when you say to somebody, I make good things happen, I'm a person of intention, that you are. So work on that. Number two, here's a big one, assertiveness. See, I think more people, almost all people in real estate could become more assertive, not more aggressive. No, no. Aggressive is about control and manipulation. Assertiveness is about standing up and stating what you want and telling the truth, right? And protecting people. So assertiveness, I had to learn this myself. It was an interesting thing. When I was a district manager of Century 21 in Syracuse, New York, and I wanted to become the regional director of the 3 states and go from making 18,000 a year to making 150,000 a year, I put that down as a goal. And then I said, well, Dave, you're going to have to change. You're too laid back. You care too much about what other people think. You have to be more assertive. You have to express yourself. You have to ask for what you want. You have to take charge of things, right? And be courageous enough to do that. And so I found this wonderful document called the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. And I put it over my desk and I looked at it every day and I became more assertive. I became not manipulative, not aggressive, but I stood up and took charge. I was not afraid to express my opinion, my judgment about things. I became a better teacher, a better leader. All of that happened. And let me tell you the end of that story. So I wanted to become a regional director. Well, the gentleman who had been regional director when I was a district manager, his name was Marv, got promoted to the corporate office of Century 21 as executive vice president of the whole company. And then he was replaced by a guy by the name of George. And for 3 years, George was the regional director that I worked under as his training director. And then George was promoted to Atlanta to head up a region out of that. And they were interviewing to replace George. And I got asked to interview, I actually volunteered that I wanted to interview. So I did. And I was out meeting with Marv in California. And I could tell he was setting me up to let me down, right? He was saying, Dave, it's so honored to have you here. We have great respect for what you're accomplishing. And by the way, you know how many great leaders we have in this company. And I could tell the next statement was, so you'll have your opportunity, but it won't be this one. I could hear that coming, right? So I went, Marv, let me just stop you for a second. I said, I want you to know that the man sitting across the desk from you right here is not the same man you left 3 years ago. No, this man is more assertive, more take charge, more make it happen. And I will tell you this, I know exactly what that region needs, and I will make it rock. And he looked back and went, well, what would you do, Dave? And I had my list of the 10 things I would do to make that region really become better and more profitable. And at the end of it, I got the job. And I will tell you that launched my whole career. I became regional director and then divisional president. And then of course, an executive with Keller Williams. None of that would have happened if I had not built my assertiveness skills. And I say that to you because I would say that to everyone. Become more assertive, not aggressive, but more assertive. And you can even say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, you'll find I'm a very assertive person. I'm not aggressive. I don't offend people. I get along very well with people, but I will stand up and make sure the right things happen in this transaction, that no one takes advantage of you. I will protect your rights because I'm an assertive person. See, beautiful. Now, the final thing is be a person of commitment, a person who does what they say they're going to do. One of Keller Williams' really finest pioneers, his name is Tom Caldwell. Tom Caldwell was the president of the biggest independent in Denver, Colorado, Van Schok Realty. And he went to this meeting in Florida where Gary Keller was a speaker and Dave Liniger, the founder of RE/MAX, was a speaker, and several others. He was there with other real estate company leaders. And he came back home to his wife, Gwen, and said, Gary Keller is the future of real estate. And he resigned his position, cushy position as president of Van Schok, and went down to Austin and signed up to own the region for Colorado, brought it back up and built Keller Williams right there in RE/MAX's backyard in Colorado. And then a few years later, sold it for $2 million and Now he and his wife Gwen just travel the world because he's a real history buff, right? Loves doing that. Now I say all that because I learned a great lesson from Tom. He said, Dave, the key to success is doing what you say you'll do. Do what you say you'll do. He said, so many people make promises and then don't deliver on them or forget what they promised. He said, be a person of commitment. Do what you say you're going to do. And he said, in fact, I keep a commitment list on top of my to-do list. I have a to-do list, but every time I tell someone I'm going to get back to them or I'm going to send them a document or send them some material or arrange to have lunch or whatever, I write that down on my commitment list. And I make sure I complete my commitment list even before I complete my to-do list. So that's important. So be a person of commitment. And you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what you'll find in working with me is I'm a person of commitment. If I say I'm going to do something, you can take it to the bank. Promises made, promises kept. You can rely on me because I am a person of commitment. You got that? So here we are. These knowledge, skills, and attitudes, these things underpin our competence. And when we have that growing level of competence, our confidence increases and we become a great salesperson and a great listing agent. Now, we said competence, communication, and presentation. Let's look at communication. I learned this in the Dale Carnegie Institute also. Dale Carnegie's famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's in the top 200 of Amazon.com every year, even though Amazon sells tens of thousands of different titles of books. This book is in the top 200 every year, and it was written 75 years ago. And why is that? Because it's built on timeless truths, just like MREA. Why is MREA still the best-selling book on Amazon.com today in the real estate category? And it was written 17 years ago because it's filled with timeless truths. And I say in your life, build your life on timeless truths, not the latest gimmicks and cleverness, but on timeless truths. So what are the timeless truths about communication? Well, Dale Carnegie says it's about three big things. One is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. He said, when you get into criticizing, condemning, and complaining, you go to a negative space and you are not a good person to communicate with. And don't do it in front of others. And so certainly don't do it about them. This is important in relationships in general. Like my wife and I really work to not criticize, condemn, or complain, because that underpins the love and closeness that we have. So we don't. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Number two, give honest, sincere appreciation. Perhaps the most powerful script in the world is thank you. I appreciate that. Powerful. Be a person. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you for opening your home and letting me come here to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. I really appreciate you giving me your time and attention. See, say thank you everywhere you can. Say thank you. Give honest, sincere appreciation. And then finally, focus on what others want. We are in a service economy. Zig Ziglar said, you will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. In other words, getting what you want is about helping others get what they want. And so focus on what others want, focus on what others need, be concerned more about their needs than yours, because that will lead to you accomplishing your goals. Focus on what they want. So those are the big three. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain, give honest, sincere appreciation, and focus on what other people want. Now, here are the supportive six. Number one, be genuinely interested and curious about other people. Let curiosity drive you. Gary Gentry, one of the guy who closed the first transaction ever in the history of Keller Williams back in 1983, still is a great agent with us. He and his wife, Melanie, run a great team in Austin. He said, Dave, I can learn more about somebody in half an hour than anyone else I know because I am genuinely interested in them, right? So let your curiosity drive them. By the way, your listing presentation is really got three sections. One is getting to know them, the rapport section. As you travel around the house and you look at it, you kind of get a feel for it. You're really getting to build rapport and connection with them. It's all about them. Then there's about a 20-minute period where you're making your listing presentation. Now it's about you. and what you can do for them. And then after you've gotten the listing, it's all about servicing it. It's about establishing price. It's about establishing marketing strategy. It's about staging and all that service part of what we do. So there's three parts of, in a sense, a listing appointment: building rapport, making your presentation, getting their agreement to list with you, and then servicing the listing. So don't confuse them. So at this front end, it's not you proving yourself or talking about you, it's talking about them. So be genuinely interested in them. Number two, smile. I mean, in this age of masks and all that, we've kind of knocked off our nonverbal behavior, but let your positivity and energy come through your face, your expression, your nonverbal behavior. Remember people's names. It's the most magical sound that they'll hear is their own name. And do not say this. Do not say, Dave, I'm no good at remembering names. Dave, I've never been good at remembering names. I just can't master remembering names. Do not say that to yourself. Why would you give yourself that self-talk and talk yourself out of a skill that you have? Dave, I'm getting better at remembering names. Dave, I'm working on my systems for remembering names. And there's only two things to do. By the way, you know why it's hard to remember people's names? It's two different parts of the brain, right? Our relationship and emotional connection, having a sense of who somebody is a right brain function, right? But all the labels, their name, where they came from, where they went to school, where they work, their kids' names, their pets' names, all those labels are left brain things. So we have to work to bring the two, our understanding of them and our connection with them, and the labels together. That takes work. It takes two things. One, write down their name. The minute you meet somebody new, write it down. Have your little notebook with you, write it down. Make sure you get it spelled right. Make sure you know how they like it. Like if it's Elizabeth, do you like Elizabeth or Beth or Liz, Dave or David? Get it written down and then use it repetitively. Repetition is the mother of memory. Repetition is the mother of mastery. So repetition is the key. Dave, thank you very much for opening your home and letting me earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Let me tell you, Dave, what we're going to do in the next few minutes. I'm going to ask you a series of questions so I can get a really clear picture, Dave, of what you want to accomplish and how I can help make that happen. How's that sound, Dave? See, I've used that Dave's name 4 or 5 times in just less than 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Now, you say, well, Dave, isn't that a bit much? No. They will never have the sense that you're using their name too much. It will bind you with them. And it also will help you memorize. You will not forget their name. So get good at remembering people's names, get better at that. Then encourage them to talk about themselves. Remember, this is where you get to know about them, not you talking about you. And then talk about their interests, not yours. See, a lot of people have this mistake that if I share a common interest with them, it will bond us, right? Like we'll say, by the way, what do you like to do for recreation? Oh, I like to play golf. You like to play golf? I'm a golf addict. It's amazing. I'm a 5.2 handicap. What's yours? Yeah, I'm a member of Oak Hill Country Club. Are you a member of a club? Great. What great courses have you played? I've gotten to play Pebble Beach. Isn't that amazing? What have I done? I've just taken over the conversation. So no me toos. Talk about their interests, not yours, because then we get into this competitive, and the focus needs to be on them. So if you share a common interest, say you love movies, and you ask them, what do they like to do? And they go, oh, I like to go to movies. You go, oh, you do? That's wonderful. What kind of movies do you really like? Yeah. Are there any actors or actresses that you like to follow? Yeah. What about directors? Any films that a particular director does that you like? Great. What did you see recently that you would recommend that I go see? Okay, thank you. Yeah, I love movies too. See, that's that little comment at the end. Yeah, I love movies too. But you've shown them what matters, which is they love movies. And so your questions have shared that bond, have made that bond. So talk about their interests, not yours, no me toos. This time is not about you. We're coming on the time that's about you. And then make others feel important. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I really appreciate you opening your home and letting me come and earn the right to handle the sale of your home. I know I need to earn that right because you're the one that's going to make the decision. And when you work with me, I will give you all the greatest information and advice, but in the end, I'm going to do what you want done because you're the boss. See, make them feel important. Now, if they have if they own a company, that's great. How did you get started in that company? I'm impressed that you own it, or I'm impressed that you're the president of it, or I'm impressed of the local committee you're head of, the volunteer committee. Whatever it is, find ways to make them feel important and give them recognition. So there's the support of 6. Be genuinely interested in others. Smile, let your positivity come through. Remember people's names, get better and better at that. Encourage others to talk about themselves and talk about their interests, not yours, no me toos, and then make others feel important. Okay, so now we've got competence in communication. Now we're building our confidence, and now we're going to dive in to the effectiveness of making presentations. And it begins with understanding scripts and dialogues. Linda McKissick went from failing out of real estate in 1991 to in 8 years later in 1999, when we interviewed her in our mastermind groups. Linda's company, real estate, her own business, the McKissick Group, our systems are your solution. That was their motto. They had closed 352 sales. She had 4 admins, 5 buyer specialists, 2 listing specialists, and a manager. She wasn't even managing it. She was its owner. We call that 7th level in the MREA, built under her brand, her name, her guidance, her systems, her commitment to quality, and her hiring of great staff. Okay, she said, Dave, at the beginning of my career, I was just a country girl telling it like it is. And I realized I wasn't very effective and I was kind of boring. And I would listen to other agents talk about how they sell. And I would go, wow, they say just the right things. And then they said, well, Linda, we just have learned these scripts and dialogues. And so she said, I started to learn how to say things more effectively, more powerfully. And at first I was a little uncomfortable doing it, but then I got better at it. And then it really carried me all the way through my career. I learned how to ask for business. I learned the scripts for that. I learned the scripts for making an effective listing presentation. I learned the scripts for working with buyers. I learned the scripts for managing and recruiting my staff and overseeing them. And she said, I think everything in life is a presentation. And she wrote a book called Presentation Mastery. Wonderful book, Linda McKissick. Now, she said, it's about memorize, internalize, customize, and capitalize. And that's what Gary and I were teaching. So first you memorize the script exactly as it is, because remember, scripts are the poetry of selling. You don't change a poem. You memorize the poem. And then you internalize it so you feel just like a great actor or actress, you feel the emotional power of that script. And then when you say it, it's real and it's right and it's you, but you don't change it. You just have the feel for it, and then you customize it, right? Like handle the sale of your home. There's a great little tiny script. Handle the sale of your home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my job is to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when I handle the sale of your home, not sell it, market it, list it. Those are dumbed down phrases. The way to say it is handle the sale of your home. It's fiduciary. So that's what you learn about effective language. They come in sound bites and small paragraphs. That's what we're going to learn. Scripts are not a long script like on a play or something. They're things that you use interactively, and you'll get a sense of that. How to say things more effectively. So get practice at memorizing things like Zig Ziglar says, your success in real estate will be in direct proportion to the number of people that who you will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. Or Earl Nightingale says, success is the progressive realization of personal, predetermined, worthwhile goals. So it's really good to memorize. And sometimes memorizing poems. I know a year ago at the start of this COVID thing, I remembered the poem by Rudyard Kipling called If you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself while others doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, not deal in lies, or being hated, not give way to hating, and yet not act too good or talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. And it goes on for a couple more verses and it finishes with, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then yours is the world and anything that's in it. And more than that, life's battle you'll have won, right? It's a great poem, a great poem, by the way. So let's dive into our presentation, making an effective presentation. So there's a process. When we get down, remember, we've been building rapport. Now we're down to that 20 minutes, maybe 30 maximum, where we're going to talk about why list with me, right? And we're going to set the stage and we're going to make our presentation and highlight the key benefits of why to work with me and how we get the results we do, about pricing and staging, and about explaining your commission if you need to. We're going to look at all of these pieces of the listing presentation, right? So let's start out with understanding a way to set the stage, right? We're looking at setting the stage. And this one I learned from Mike Ferry. It's a great one called the 1-minute listing presentation. It goes like this: Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Okay, good. Are you willing to price it to sell? All right. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Okay, and the reason we call it the 1-minute listing presentation is, listen to this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Oh yeah, Dave, we got to be out of here in 6 or 8 weeks. Yeah, we got to get it sold. Great. 2, are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we'd like to get the most we can, but yeah, we'll price it in any way that'll cause it to sell. Okay, great. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Oh yeah, you come so highly recommended, Dave. We want to list with you. Wonderful. Let's get started. See, you've got the listing. 3 yeses in less than a minute. You've got the listing. There's no need for any more presentation, no justification, no testimonials, no things not your track record, none of that. You're going to start filling out the contract. Go through the contract, sign it, give them enough market information to get the pricing strategy right, set up a marketing plan, do the staging recommendations, just get to work because you have the listing. And you don't have to say, well, I guess you'd like to list with me. No, just assume it. Walk into servicing the listing, right? Because you have it. Now that's why it's a 1-minute listing presentation. But no, even if it doesn't go like that, let me give you another role play of this. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. 1, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Well, no, we love it here. We really love it. We just thought maybe we'd put it on the market and see what it could get. Wonderful. Thank you. 2, are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need to get at least 900,000 for it, at least 900,000 for it. Okay, great. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Well, we're interviewing 2 other agents too. Okay, good. Let's get started. Now, I haven't gotten my 3 yeses, but I have gotten 3 pieces of information that I need to have right up front. Number 1 is their motivation. That's the answer to question number 1 is motivation. And in this case, they may not be motivated. And if that stays there, I'll probe it, but if it stays at that level, we just want to see what our home would get. I'm not going to take that listing. I'm not going to do my work to just see so they can see what their home would get on the market. No, I need somebody motivated. Number 2 is about education. So 1 is motivation. Number 2 is education. If they think they need to get 900,000 and I know the best I can get for them is 780 or 790, then I know that I have to educate them about how the market works and how pricing works, right? So I just make that note. Okay, got an educational job here to do. And then would you like me to handle the sale for you? If they say they're interviewing other agents, then I know I need to give create urgency in my presentation so they want to list with me now. And then I would say, oh, by the way, I'll let those other 2 agents know they can bring their buyers to your home, but we've got the listing handled. Okay, would you like me to do that? Sure, I'd be happy to do it. Because a lot of times they're afraid about making that call that says we've already listed. So you help them do that. So by the way, but these 3 questions give you that their motivation, their education, and whether they're committed to you or not. So really master this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? 1, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Great. 2, are you willing to price it to sell? Yeah. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Notice how you're giving positive verbal, nonverbal communication about that. And by the way, don't answer the questions. Don't take them on when they give them to you. Just thank them for that and register that information. So that's called setting the stage, the 1-minute listing presentation. Now, here's another thing. You want to make sure you get their attention and that they know they really better be paying attention, because their mind may be on a shopping list or homeschooling or something going on at work. So you want to get their attention. Here's a way to do it. It's called the 3 outcomes. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, one of 3 things will happen. 1, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Or 2, you will decide not to list with me. Or 3, I will decide not to take your listing. Now, any of those 3 is okay with me. Does that make sense? See, wow. You've just stated the case. There's not going to be any thinking about it, waiting, talking later. They're going to make a decision tonight. You're expecting that. And one of the decisions might be you decide not to take the listing. And they may say, well, Dave, wait, why wouldn't you take our listing? And I go, well, because my job is to not only meet your expectations, but to exceed them. And if I feel, based on everything we've talked about, that I can't exceed your expectations, then I'm not going to lock you into a listing agreement and we'll part friends and move on. Does that make sense? Yeah. But what you've really said to them is, you're not here with dollar signs rolling in your eyes. You're not here out of need. The worst thing you can do in a listing presentation is feel needy, right? This is just another chance for you to serve somebody if they're the right person, right? If they're motivated and ready and committed to you. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, oh, by the way, it also allows you to focus in on the time constraint, because you only want to take about 20 minutes for your presentation. And so and that they may be relieved to hear that, by the way. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, by the way, that meeting will only take 20 or 30 minutes, okay? One of 3 things will happen. 1, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Notice my positive bobbing. Or 2, you'll decide not to list with me. Like, why would you do that, right? Notice the nonverbals. You'll decide not to list with me. Or I will decide not to take your listing, kind of that rejection. Any of those 3 is okay with me. So you're not in any need. Any of those 3 is okay with me. Does that make sense? Great. Let's get started. And now you get started on your presentation, right? And now you've got it, and you've got their attention, and you've got it focused down. Now, here are the things I want you to remember, that using things that affect your memory is a good thing. Here's a technique called stacking, and it's one I learned from Floyd Wickman. It's another way to set up what you're going to do, because what Floyd taught me was that when you tell people what's going to happen next, then they have a comfort level, right? They okay, I know what's going to happen, no surprises. And so that's always good to say to somebody, here's what's going to happen next. This case, this is what's going to happen with my sales presentation, and it's going to be a relief to them, because they know it's not going to go on and on and on, and it reflects to them that you're organized. So you say, it's called the safe island, and it works like what's called stacking. In other words, stacking is where you memorize things by taking objects you can remember easily, mentally, and stacking them on top of one another to remind you what comes next. Like when I was teaching the Dale Carnegie sales course, each session we would have 16, 17, 18 objects stacked up on top of one another mentally, because as instructors, we never had books, we never had notes, we never had PowerPoints, we never had anything in front of us. We were always interacting directly with them, but we needed to know what was happening next in our own mind. So let me show you how this stacking technique works. Think of, at the bottom of the stack is the letter B followed by the number 4, bright pink, B4. On top of that is a stopwatch with 1 minute on it, and you think 1 minute. Out of the top of the stopwatch comes 4 steps, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. On the top step are a bunch of question marks, right? A whole bundle of question marks. On top of the question marks is a shopping cart. We call it a market basket. And that's what we think, market basket, with numbers in it. On the top of the market basket is a jail cell, a window with bars on it, a prisoner behind it, and we think jail cell. And on top of the jail cell is a spiral staircase of steps, and we think steps. So what's on the bottom? B4. Then what? 1 minute. Then 4 steps. Then question marks. Then market basket. Then jail cell. Then spiral staircase steps. And then here's how the presentation would go. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, may I take a minute to tell you how I work? Great. Basically, I use a 4-step process. First, I will ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Then I will give you enough market information to make a rational decision about the price to place on the property. And then I'm going to honestly sell you on the benefits of working with me and my company and how we get the results we do. And then when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will tell you step by step all the things that I will do to cause your home to sell. How's that sound? Yeah, let's get started. Okay, so you've set them up, given them the safe island. Here's what's going to happen with your presentation. So there's 3 different ways you can set up what's going to happen next, which is now your presentation. Now let's get to the heart of becoming a salesperson. This is the formula. I learned it in Dale Carnegie. It's the formula for selling no matter what you're selling. Facts, benefits, feelings. Facts, benefits, feelings. Just remember that triple. Facts, benefits, feelings. Facts, what I do. Benefits, what you receive, what you get. And feelings, how that will make you feel. Facts, benefits, feelings. Facts, benefits, feelings. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what I do. Therefore, you will get this, and it will make you feel like this. Like, let me give you a couple examples. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said, I'm a market specialist. I know the market. I will give you enough market information so that you can make a rational decision about the price on your property that will allow us to get the highest possible price for it. And that will give you that feeling of satisfaction and happiness that we got the most for your home. Does that make sense? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said to you, there will be 75 or 85 pages of legal documents that need to be reviewed. I will review them in detail, make sure they're filled out right, no mistakes, no one's taking advantage of you. And then you will have the confidence to sign those documents and know we're going to go successfully to closing, and you'll have that feeling of peace of mind and relaxation. Does that make sense? Great. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can ask me questions anytime, but I am going to set up a regular schedule of appointments to call you back and tell you exactly where we stand in the sale of your home, which means that you will know all the time exactly the process we're on and where we stand, and have a chance to ask any questions that you have. And you'll know that I'm respecting you and listening to you, and that you know and have the confidence of knowing that we're moving successfully toward closing. Does that sound good? Yeah, good. So those are anytime you're telling them what you're going to do as their agent, you always focus on the benefit they will receive, and then really work on the feeling that they get after it, like relaxation or peace of mind, or being respected, or confidence or security, or satisfaction and well-being, or happiness and joy, because this is what really makes them feel good. And remember, this is emotional. Now, pay close attention, because to me, this next page is the heart of a great emotional, high impact listing presentation. Listen carefully. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there really are 3 reasons to list with me. Number 1 is you can trust me. Number 2 is I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. How's that sound? Should we get started? See? And then if they go, yeah, let's do that, Dave. And now you know you have a listing, right? But the things people care about most, not your track record, not your certificates or testimonials. They want to know they can trust you. They want to know that you'll take them seriously and not abandon them. And they know that you'll take care of everything that needs to be taken care of in this complex thing called a real estate transaction, all the way to closing. So these three are the most important things to say. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there really are three reasons to list with me. One, you can trust me. Two, I will answer all your questions. And three, I will protect you all the way through closing. Are you ready to get started? Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, if this feels too tight to you, you can expand it a little bit. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really three reasons to list with me. One, you can trust with me. Trust me. All my clients tell me that they would trust me with their children or their bank account. You can trust me. Two, I will answer all your questions. You can ask them anytime. And I'm a professional. I know what I know and I know what I don't. And if I know the answer, you'll get it. And if I don't know the answer, I have this world-class company behind me and I will get us the right answer. But I will always take you seriously and answer your questions. And three, I will protect you all the way to through closing. All those legal documents I will review. I'll make sure no one's taking advantage of you. If there's a problem, I'll get it solved. If there's a negotiation that it needs to be done, I'll do it. But I will protect you all the way through closing. You can count on that. That sound good? Yeah. So just understand, if you can master this at the heart of your listing presentation and orient everything to this, because this is what people emotionally care about, that they can trust you, that you'll take them seriously and answer all their questions, and that you will take care of everything all the way through closing. Now, let's look at some ways to differentiate ourselves from anyone else. And one of the ways is right in MREA. Page 95 of MREA is magic. It's a listing presentation on one page. Or you could take a photocopy of page 95. You could take it into a listing appointment and just simply read that page. And that would be better than 95% of all listing presentations they would ever get. Why? Because it tells them what you're going to do, which most agents don't. They talk about themselves and how good they are and how great they are, but they don't talk about what they're going to do. And then page 151 is great because it lists the 14 ways in which you're going to market their home. And a lot of agents aren't articulate about that either. So here's the way you would do it. You'd say, now, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 10 important things that I do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to share with you? Oh, Dave, don't worry about it. I mean, we know you're going to do the right thing and you'll let us know what we need to know when we need to know it. So no, let's just get going. Great. Or you might say, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are 10 important things that I do to serve you and to get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to go in to share with you? Oh, Dave, we'd really be interested. We always wondered what real estate agents really did. Yeah, so tell it, what are the 10? Great, let me tell you what they are. First, number one, I'm going to do a thorough needs analysis. I'm going to ask you a series of questions to get a sense of your priorities and desires and make sure that we can achieve those. Number two is I'll give you enough market information to build an accurate pricing strategy that will allow us to get the most money for your home. And as part of that, I'm going to recommend some repairs and some staging things we can do that won't cost much, that will increase the value of your home and allow you to compete effectively against the other homes that your buyers are looking at. And then number four, there are 14 ways in which I cause a home to sell, marketing wise, and we'll build the appropriate marketing strategy for your home. And then, of course, my job really begins when we get offers, because I have to evaluate them, make sure they're legitimate, make sure that they can deliver on what they say, that they can get the financing and funding. And if we get multiple offers, that we can decide which one to take. And then in any case, I can negotiate, counter offer, or among the offers, negotiate to get you a final contract that absolutely meets your terms and conditions and needs. Now, as part of that, there may be a work list of things the buyer's requesting us to do that we'll want to do, repairs. And I have vendors that can take care of any repairs. I will get prices from them. I'll never make any decision without your input, without your agreement, and we'll get the work done. I'll be the overseer and coordinate the repairs. And then, as I said, there are going to be 75, 85 pages of legal and financial documents to be reviewed as we go to closing, and I will make sure they're filled out accurately, no mistakes, no one's taking advantage of you, and you can be confident in signing those documents, and we can go to closing. And of course, at closing, I'll be there to advise you and solve any last minute resolutions. And of course, then after closing, I want to be your realtor for life. So I will help you with making your move. Oh, by the way, do you have an agent yet where you're moving to, who you're buying with? Because if you don't, I can get you a great agent there. Then I can coordinate the sale of this home with the purchase of that one. And that relationship is so important. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, great. I'd be happy to. And of course, the sale of your home creates a tax event. So I will put together all the documents for you to take to your CPA or your tax prep person in preparing next year's taxes. Does that sound good? Good. Any questions? All right, well, let's get started. Let's get to work. So there you go. See, you have been more effective than anyone else at quickly, within 3 or 4 minutes, describing all the things you do. That'll be more powerful than anything they've ever gotten. Promise you that. Now, let's take ourselves to a higher level. This is where scripts are really important because they differentiate you and set you above the crowd, right? Of course, you already are above that because of your competence and the quality of your presentation. But this one's called the fiduciary script because a lot of people don't understand and agents don't articulate their position as a fiduciary. And of course, we don't use that term because unless they're an attorney, they probably wouldn't know what it meant. But this script allows you to describe it. So you say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, I want to remind you that I am licensed by the state of Minnesota to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interests above the interests of any other party, including my own. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. See, isn't that wonderful? I mean, you now have set yourself up above any other agent, even though they're licensed too. So it's stating it with emotional power. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am licensed by the state of Minnesota, higher authority, to represent not sellers and buyers and people wanting real estate. That's generic. No, to represent you in the sale of your home. And then we tell them what that means. I will always place your interest above the interests of any other party. Oh, by the way, including my own. And then we give them the triple. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. Now, Linda McKissick said to me, Dave, you have to learn to state the obvious with emotional power. You have to learn to state the obvious with emotional power. And I said, Linda, well, what do you mean? Well, she said, let me give you a great example. She said, here's what I say to sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately tomorrow morning notify all the other realtors in the area that 1, it's on the market, 2, its best features, and 3, why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Would you like me to do that? Oh, yeah, Linda, would you do all that for us? Yes, thank you. See? And other agents will go, well, we'll put it in the MLS and then we'll put a sign in the yard, and then we'll see what happens. See? So don't dumb it down. Take it big. That's what Linda says. Take it big. By the way, everyone uses the MLS, but take credit for what that means. You're a realtor. You pay dues to the MLS. The MLS gives a great platform for sellers to sell their home because of exactly what you do, but take credit for it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately, tomorrow morning, notify all the other realtors in the area that it is on the market, 1, 2, its best features. In other words, I'm going to promote it. And 3, why they should bring their qualified, see, when they work with you, they get why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Powerful. Now, I learned another one about the obvious from Althea Osborne, the #1 agent in Keller Williams for years and years and years in Austin, Texas. She was one of the founding members of the ALC that reinvented Keller Williams and built the profit share system. She's one of the top profit share earners. But she taught me this script about advertising. And it's an interesting thing. I just want to share with you how smart Althea was at marketing for listings. And business. So she would watch these little startup tech companies in Austin, and she would find out the owner, and she would go in and say, hi, Jim, I'm Althea Osborne with Keller Williams. By the way, I love this new company that you started in your building, and I'd like to be on your recruiting team. And they go, what do you mean, Althea, our recruiting team? Well, I know you're bringing people here to interview that you'd like to have them move to Austin and work with your company. And when they come here, I'd be happy to give them an area tour and talk with them about why this is a great place to live, maybe have them talk with some other people. And then if you decide to hire them and they come here, I'll even help them find a home. Isn't that powerful? I'll even help them find a home. Her need or service was at the back end, but the front end was what they needed was support in their recruiting of people to the company. And so they did work with her. And when people came, they did tour with her, and they'd call Althea afterwards and say, Althea, what did you think of that person? You know, what did they have to say about our company? Should we hire them? And she became an advisor to them. And of course, when they moved there, they bought with her. And then when they sold with her. And she said, I would go through several sales. And now she said, I have all these $1 million listings. And they always ask me, Althea, where are you going to advertise our home? And she said, I have to answer that. And I do, and here's how I answer it. So, Althea, where are you gonna advertise our home? Well, Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. See, ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And as your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. Isn't that powerful? I mean, that's so powerful, just as she says it. Well, Dave, she's just talking about co-broking. I know, but when I was early in the real estate business, not all brokers co-broked. If they had the listing, you had to go through them. But as an industry, we've gotten mature with our MLS and our co-broking so that we now create a platform for people to use realtors to sell their home. And it's the best, most efficient way to do it. And it is in lieu of advertising. Yes, real estate agents and companies advertise, but they advertise for more sellers and more buyers. It doesn't cause the homes to sell, right? We know that. So look how she takes charge, assertive. Let me educate you. So Jim, where are you going to advertise our home, Althea? Well, Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. See, ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And now the kicker, as your agent, I will never waste your money, and I certainly wouldn't waste my own. So whether they think that commission is their money or your money, you're not going to waste it, right? Powerful. Now, you want to talk about the company you're with. I remember in the early days, someone would say, well, I'd love to list with you, but I've never heard of this company you're with. Was it Keller or something? Oh, Keller Williams. Yeah, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the newest, most innovative, and fastest growing national real estate company in America. And by the way, right here in Minnesota, which is why we're with them. Yeah. See, that's what we used to say. Now, of course, we're number one in the world by 40%. We are the player, right? And so now we say, by the way, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the largest, most innovative, and highly respected real estate company in the world. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. Isn't that powerful? It's just powerful. Those are the three reasons that you're there. At Keller Williams, you are a partner in the business, and you can share in the profits through profit share, and you can have a say in all the decisions through the ALC. And more important than that, within law and ethics, you're free to treat your client whatever way you want. You don't have to check with management. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I'm empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. Powerful. Now, let's talk about pricing. I want you to go to chapter 7 and 8 of the book Shift. All about pricing, all about staging, right there. One is you never argue with them about the price, you never compete, and you don't give the price ahead of time. Pricing is one of your services. Well, Dave, what do you think the home will sell for? Don't know yet. We've got to look at the numbers, and we'll do that together. See, pricing is a strategy. So we want to do the right strategy. So that's what we'll do. That's what I do. It's one of the big parts of my service is getting it priced right so you get the highest possible price for your home. Can't determine that ahead of time. Well, yeah, but other agents say that they can sell it for, $1 million or for 900,000 or whatever. Well, you know what? Here's my experience. Agents will say they can do something just to be impressive to you and get the listing, but later they'll be talking you down to another price. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you the truth and what you need to hear and make the best possible decision. I'll do that when you hire me to handle the sale of your home. Can't do it ahead of time. See, do not do your price ahead of time. It's not a bidding war. It's like you're going to get it because you say you can get more for the home. That's not what's going to determine it. So, by the way, let's get to the pricing presentation. So, Dave, we need 900,000 for it. Hey, I'm on your side of the table. We are going to get the highest possible price for your home. That's my commitment. I promise you that. Now, the market is going to determine what your home will sell for, what today's current buyers will pay for the home. So remember, there's two kinds of homes out there. There's homes that are on the market, they're overpriced, and they're not in very good shape, and they're not getting many showings and almost no offers. Then there's homes that are priced right and they look good, and they're not only getting offers, they're getting multiple offers. So my job as your agent is not to just list it and put it on the market. My job is to make sure that we are in the market. And that allows us to take advantage of this window of opportunity. See, we're going to get our best price in the first week to 2 weeks of going on the market. Why? Because all the agents and their buyers who are currently active will take a look when your listing comes on the market. And if we make a bad first impression, if we're overpriced or we're not in good shape, they'll leave us and they won't come back. So we can't make a bad first impression. So we have to be priced right and look good. And then we will get our best offer in that first 10 days to 2 weeks that we're on the market. That's what my job is. And the research says that there's a problem with overpricing and that you have to get the price right and the staging right at the beginning. And that's what I'm committed to do for you, to get the highest possible price. Does that make sense? Yeah. So really be articulate about the fact that you're on their side, you're going for the highest price possible, but there's an important strategy, and the marketplace is the reality we all have to deal with. And now the final thing we want to deal with is commission. And by the way, never be embarrassed about your commission. Now I'm using 6% here as a standard. Yours may be 5, 5.5, maybe 7. I don't know what it is. It's always negotiable, always has been. There's been a lot of legal action about the real estate fixing commissions, but it doesn't. It varies all over the place, and nationally for NAR, it averages 5.6, 5.7, in that range. So I'm using 6 as a model because that's in a lot of people's minds. So Dave, would you cut your commission? Listen, let me tell you, I respect you for asking that because I think that you're trying to get the best value for your family, and I really understand that and respect it. And by the way, I love this real estate business so much. I think there's days I would do it for free, but I don't think my family would be real happy with that strategy. So let's talk about commissions. Many people don't understand what happens to the commission. So let me explain. First, half of it, 3%, goes to the company or agent that brings us a qualified buyer. So really, that's not a commission, that's more of a marketing fee, right? And then of the remaining 3%, 1/3 of it goes to my company, the world's #1 real estate company, Keller Williams. And another 1/3 of it, 1%, goes to cover my business expenses, my technology, my marketing, my staffing. And so only 1/3 of it, 1% of that whole commission actually goes to me and my family. And I know that you would consider it very wrong for me to cut that. Does that make sense? Great. Any questions? We okay? Let's move on. Right? Now, I know a lot of agents who right at the front end, I have an agent I know in San Antonio that says, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want to know before we begin, I charge 1% more than the other agents in the area. They'll charge 5 or 6. I charge 7 because I know with my experience and my work, I'm going to get you a higher price for your home, but I do charge 7%. Is that okay with you? Okay, great. See, they'll do it right up front because they're confident. But here's what I want to say to you. Always be confident about, real estate commissions are what they need to be for the cost of selling a home. We have the whole infrastructure of MLSs and co-broking. We have brokerages. We have oversight agencies. We have brokers who are responsible. We do a lot of things to protect the interest of the consumer, and those things cost money. So that what we charge is reasonable. And so never lack confidence about that. Never be apologetic about your commission. Just be very assertive, is that's what it takes to sell a home. And you deliver value for what they pay to you out of the proceeds of the sale, right? So final. By the way, I will send you several things. All of these slides, the assertiveness bill of rights, Dave's favorite scripts, a separate document that has a lot of scripts that aren't included in here. And I will send you all of that, and the Rudyard Kipling poem, I will send you all of that. All you have to do is write me, dave@kw.com. So write that down, dave@kw.com. Send me your 3 ahas, right? 3 insights that you got from this presentation. This is good for you to take the time to do that. It's good for me to get the feedback on what's coming through, right? So send dave@kw.com your 3 ahas, and I will send you all these slides. I will send you Dave's favorite scripts. I'll send you the Assertiveness Bill of Rights and the Rudyard Kipling poem, right? And I'll send that to you within a day. So I mean, I'll tell you what, I'll promise you'll have it by Friday, right? I promise that. Commitment made, right? It's on my commitment list. So you got that? Now, let me just conclude with this. The powerful presentation you will ever make is to yourself. It's the power of self-talk. And here's what I want you to start saying to yourself. I am in a skill-based sales profession. This is not easy. This is rocket science. Not anyone can do this easily. Only about 20% who get into real estate succeed, and only about 5 to 10% really thrive in this business. And I am one of them, because I'm in a skill-based profession, and I am mastering the skills. I am mastering the skills of this business. I have the knowledge, the skills, the attitude, and I practice long and hard. I'm like a professional athlete or an actor or actress. I practice this game. I do my scripts and dialogues. I practice my presentation. I practice how to ask for business. I practice this game. And I'm increasing, as I do that, my competence. And as my competence increases, so does my confidence. And now I'm confident, and people can feel that confidence from me. They can feel that positive energy, and they want to work with me, and they want to make referrals to me. So I'm taking a lot of listings that are selling. I'm getting more and more. I feel the momentum going in my business, and I am doing what Gary Keller and Dave and Jay say in the book. I'm thinking big, I'm aiming high, and I'm acting bold. I'm being assertive. All right, Heather, there we go. Just a reminder, people, dave@kw.com, easy, DAVE at kw.com, your 3 ahas, and I'll send you all those documents. So Heather, and by the way, if you have any questions, or you want to make any ahas or share things or comments, please let me know right now. Or you can just unmute and ask. I appreciate the words. I appreciate the thank yous. I really do. And if you put the thank yous and that in those emails you send me, that would even feel better. I mean, I get those, but I really want your ahas, because I think that, Gary Keller and I are big believers in ahas. We believe that questions, curiosity, drive wisdom, but what really drives implementation are ahas. When you have an educational experience and you go, aha, I get that, you are very likely then to use it and implement it in your life. So ahas are a big deal, and please.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, Matt Brown here.
Hey, Matt, how are you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Thank you
Are
for.
you what is that?
I'm on the holodeck of the Starship Enterprise right now.
Oh,
So,
this is the holodeck. Okay.
Correct,
So, where in space are you, Matt?
We're over by Alpha Centauri, so we'll be
Oh,
back
okay.
here soon.
There we go. Well, how's real estate doing over there? You know,
Hot as can be.
hot, exactly.
I just wanted to thank you for pointing out a couple things that we take for granted, such as expressing that we are fiduciaries to the client. I think it's something we just take it for granted. We don't think about it. But I agree 100%. It sets us apart because other agents are not saying that.
And they don't even think it, actually. What's interesting is
that's right.
I hate to say that because they're already licensed and they should be thinking that, but a lot of them really don't. And they're thinking in their own self-interest, right? And
Correct.
they're thinking in that, and they're not putting that client up there on the pedestal, which is what you do with that. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
No, that's right. And the other thing is I want everyone to talk about, kind of the obvious. But here's one thing to remember in this age of high tech and all of these companies that think they're bringing in new solutions to the real estate game. In my experience, we said originally, real estate is a local business driven by individual agents with their relationships and reputation with their sphere of influence, right? So when I say to agents, when you're looking at your strategy, you can take all that technology and you can use some of that like databases. That's a big deal. Like using command and doing now direct mail and doing emails and all that. But the truth is that real estate is a local business and it's driven by three things: relationship, reputation, and trust. Relationship, reputation, and trust. People do business with people they know or are referred to. People do business with people who have a reputation. Like that's why your yard signs give you the reputation. And the number one issue for everyone is trust. I want an agent I can trust. That's what NAR research says, which is why when I do that listing presentation and you want to get to the emotional part of it, I say there's really three reasons to list with me. One, you can trust me. So that matters to people. And I had an agent write me. He said, Dave, after I came to this seminar, he said, I really worked on this. And he said, last week I went on a listing presentation. I was against three other agents who were much more experienced than me. And he said, I really used that 3-part piece. And he said, I got the listing. And he said, I really think it was because I appealed to them emotionally. So, yeah.
Dave, we have a question in the chat. They are wondering, do you use a third party for CMAs?
Well, I think you need the wisdom. So if you have a trusted source that does CMAs for you. Now, by the way, that's one of the things when I teach MREA, right? The overlooked secrets of MREA. I say one of the most important things for you on your staff is to start to have somebody who can do your CMAs for you on your team. So you can be like Russell Shaw, where his listing agent who takes over 400 listings a year, he gets his listing package already pre-prepared. It has the listing agreement already filled in, everything but the price. It has a CMA, it has the tax records, and it has the marketing material. And he just takes that package out and does a listing presentation and brings it back, takes a few pictures and a few measurements, hands that package to the closing coordinator, and then never talks to that seller again. So the only reason I say that is if you have someone on your team who does CMAs for you, man, your productivity as a listing agent can go through the roof, right? Now, a third party, I don't know. I would say it's a trust issue. It's a trust issue. And also it's an issue of how when you talk to the person about their pricing, how knowledgeable are you about what's going on in the market? If you've used that third-party vendor to do it, do you really know those comparative listings, right? So I don't think you can improve on your own wisdom about your market, which is why I recommend having a target market that's smaller, right? Smaller than the general market. That's maybe 1,000, 2,000 homes, not much more than that, where you really are studying what's going on with pricing there And when you go there, you can say that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm a master of pricing in this area, whatever you want to call that area in this city. And I study all the closings, because I know when I went out and did an interview with Mike Mendoza, who was highlighted in the back of our book, and we would drive through the neighborhood in Ahwatukee, Arizona. He could point to homes and tell me what they had sold for, when they had last sold, even if they weren't homes that he had done. So I don't think you can, I think that your own market knowledge adds to your competence and your confidence. Now, if you have a trusted third party who can provide that for you and do some of the front end work, but then you review it to make sure that it's accurate in the way you would express it, then there you go. You can use it. But be careful about what you delegate in the wisdom side, in the knowledge side of your business. Yeah.
Wonderful. Any other questions or ahas that you would like to share with Dave?
Yeah, we will, by the way, someone asked about having my autograph on the book, which is great. So when we get there personally, Todd, right, at some point, and I come up to visit my son. In fact, I'm coming up in a week for my granddaughter's graduation up in Blaine, Minnesota. So anyway, but we have many reasons to go to Minnesota. So we'll get up there and we'll do a session. You can bring your book. And by the way, once I sign your book, it increases your income by $10,000 a year. That's it's just one of the guarantees. Yeah, that's it. But I can't sign it more than once. It only works one time. It works for multiple years, but it doesn't work for multiple signatures. So
my big aha was increasing competence increases confidence. And with all the Zoom and all the, just the remote stuff this year, I really needed that today to, I felt really confident before COVID came along, and I needed to re-energize. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Denise. And you want to go back to that. It's always important, I don't call it self-affirmation, but it's self-awareness that, wow, I really know this business, right? I really know the contracts, and I know financing, and I know the properties in my target market. And by the way, that's why people hire me, and I just need to go out there and have that total confidence. Yeah, good. And by the way, it's what makes real estate a very difficult game to do at the highest level, because it takes so much competence to do it. The knowledge we need to have and the skills we need to build are a big deal. That's why I really want people to really master their listing presentation, because that's one of the areas of skill that makes you outstanding. You can present yourself better than anyone else. And all of a sudden, that will also start to inform your marketing. That confidence and that message will come through in your marketing. And that'll get you more opportunities.
Dave, thank you. Did a great job again. By the way, Dave is who I learned everything about KW franchising from 15, 16 years ago, multiple times through franchise systems orientation with Dave Jenks and Mo Anderson. And I thank you for the knowledge that you were able to send my way, and what we've been able to build.
Thank you, Todd. Well, one of the hard things people say, why did Keller Williams kind of grow so gradually at the beginning, and now look where it is? And I went, well, because we had to find talented people like Todd who could own and run a Keller Williams office. And you heard me say when you came to franchise systems orientation, that Keller Williams is like a Ferrari. You better know how to drive, right? Or you'll crash it, or you'll stall it out, or whatever. So it takes a very knowledgeable, sophisticated, committed person to take on the Keller Williams venture. And Todd, thank you for being among those that do that. Yeah, it's great. And your agents, I want your agents to understand the level of commitment you have to them, to the quality of the staff you have and the training like this that you bring to them. So good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, Dave, from me, and I know from everybody on this call, thank you again so much for your time and your wisdom today. It was
You're
great.
welcome. And by the way,
Yeah.
Heather arranged this and she recorded it. So
I
if anyone wants to go back and listen to it, I highly recommend that, by the way. Whether you send me your email, dave@kw.com, your 3 ahas, and get those documents, it's really good when you have those in front of you to then re-listen to this, because as one agent said to me, Dave, a lot of it has to do with the way you deliver those scripts. There's kind of a rhythm and a style and kind of a sincerity, and that I want to kind of role model. So anyway, going back and listening to it's a good thing, but send me your email. And thank you, Heather, for getting this all set up.
Thanks again. And we'll see you again in a few months. So everybody stay tuned for that, for our third session with Dave for this year.
Yep, earning financial independence. It's a fun session. Yeah.
Wonderful. We'll make it a great day.
All right.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Rock and roll.